We live? All right, looks like we are live right now. Welcome back. Welcome back to another episode of Dipcatcher Radio. Every week we get on here, talk about something going on in the crypto space. We've gone over a lot of stuff related to cryptocurrencies and their monetary characteristics. Such as the things that make Bitcoin valuable. And then lately, over the last couple of months, we've been pretty active in the DeFi space, where we've been exploring the use cases of cryptocurrencies as financial instruments. It's like lending products, time deposit products like Hex, and then now there's been a number. I mean, this has been going on throughout all this, but something that's been catching a lot of people's attention is this other class of or other use case of cryptocurrencies, and that's in the digital collectibles space. So that includes things like crypto art, where there's someone might make some art that is provably unique, and somebody can own a private key that represents ownership of that art. And so, you could have a rare piece of art that lives on the blockchain. Other examples include web domains, such as, these Handshake domains that we talked about a couple weeks ago. And so there's a lot of interesting development in this space, where a lot of these things kind of look like games early on, because that's a major use case of these digital collectibles is for gaming. And so, they've started to appear in games, but you may start seeing these things creep into other parts of life and finance. And so I think that it's definitely an exciting thing to start learning about and being aware of, because just like in other types of cryptocurrencies, it's all supply and demand. That's really where these things get their value from, and when supply of digital collectibles can be really low, and so that means that the price could be really sensitive to increases in demand. And so that's these things, just like other crypto assets, they can pump in price, and so you just have to understand how to approach these and how to value them, so that that you're the one who's buying low, and you're not the one that's pushing the price up. Because with these things, they're not as liquid. Things that exist more as collectibles, as opposed to things that are used as money. The markets, especially because they're a lot newer and it's really niche. There's just not a lot of trading volume, and so there's different risk profile involved in holding these. But these things definitely have a lot of room to grow, and especially. People, every day that goes by, people experience digital things as being real. Your followers, or people, things that you have on your website, or it's the digital world is very real, and these digital collectibles is one of the first implementations of treating things that are rare and proving the rareness, and enabling ownership and transfer of ownership of digital rare objects that are outside of the use case of money. And so there's a lot of really, really cool things going on in this space. And so first let's talk about what NFT means. So the term is non-fungible token. So if we just search non-fungible token, we can find some resources here. But pretty much what something that we talked about early on in one of our calls about, we were talking about reserve assets. We were talking about what properties that gold had that made it a reserve asset for many years, and properties that Bitcoin has that make it a candidate for that global reserve asset. And one of those things was that it was fungible. And so a good way to think about things being fungible is that it can be cut up into a lot of tiny pieces, and each tiny piece is just as equal as another tiny piece, and that it can be chopped up and then reconstructed, and that doesn't alter the like value of the whole. Like any small part of it is still, worth just as much as any other small part of it. And so like, for coins that have like a monetary use case, fungibility is really important. It's like for things like Bitcoin, adding fungibility would be beneficial for the coin, because that makes it more. What it does, it makes it more saleable, and the more saleable it is, the better it can perform its main use case, which is to be like a like reserve base layer money that sticks to a strict supply, because its main use case is measuring value of other assets. And so with things like Bitcoin, fungibility is really important. But on the other hand, like things that are more of like a digital collectible, like a digital art piece, like there can be one and only one, and like cutting it up into, like you can't cut it up into like many pieces. Like the Mona Lisa, for instance, like, it's whatever it's worth, priceless, but maybe there's a price. But cutting that in half and splitting it up, that would not, you can't split the value of the Mona Lisa up in that sense. And so that's how you can view these like digital, or some types of these digital collectibles, is that there's one and only one, and whoever owns it is the owner of that asset. Much like a rare painting in your house might be worth a lot of money. There's one and only one owner, and you can't like cut it up and like reconstruct it. And so that's where that kind of gets its name. And other use, but like the one and only one use case, that's only one use case that's present in these systems. Others are or even things that aren't even like NFTs in the sense of like they're a token, is these Handshake domains. Like these are things where like it's not necessarily a like a token, but you own something that is in a way it's kind of like digital real estate, or like internet network real estate, or it's actually considered namespace real estate. So like I see Daniel here just asked in the chat, would you purchase digital land? So yes, in a way, I do, like with these Handshake auctions we've been participating in, where we're buying up these Handshake top level domains. So like here's a site that I built with Anvil. It was to help me. There were some auctions that I wanted to make sure that I didn't miss. So I just set up like my own little email alert, because I'm a conspiracy theorist, and I thought I would think that if I was to set up an email alert on a Handshake auction on a site that I didn't create, that whomever runs that site was going to front run my bids. So I had to build my own Handshake block alert. But so this Handshake that Anvil app, it's a little Handshake resource for these domains. And what's cool about it is you can come in here and you can like explore different domains. So one that we own is Dipcatcher. So the way that this is like an entirely separate like type of like NFT, because like with these Handshake top level domains, so Handshake is it's like it's like a way to issue these top level domains. That's the .com part of a URL, and so these can be used for like routing like crypto addresses, or they can be used like to route websites. This was designed to get around the problem of having a single entity that controls the namespace for the internet. So like there's an organization called ICANN, and they're the ones that issue the .org and the .com and all the whatever top level domains. They issue that, and like that's what the browsers support. But browsers can really like use any namespace that they want, and so it's just a matter of like knowing like that like having like a single record of what the namespace is, so that like people can't just like hijack somebody's domain. So Handshake is a protocol that is an alternative to ICANN as the issuer of these top level domains. So rather than leasing these top level, like the domains under these top level domains from like ICANN, you're actually you're able to actually own these top level domains, and you can issue domains under them. So for the .dipcatcher domain, we could issue like websites, like hello.dipcatcher, or maybe even email. If we get email routing through this, we could sell like email addresses, and so there's a lot of different use cases for these, and these are in a way like a different type of non-fungible token. Like this itself is not a token, and someone in the Handshake community will like look to them for a better explanation of like really what it represents. I really don't fully like in terms of like the nuance of like what this domain is. Like I understand, like, because Handshake it's based on a UTXO blockchain like Bitcoin, where it's not actually like a transaction, like a to or a from. It's called a UTXO, unconfirmed transaction output, and it's pretty much like the thing that all the UTXOs must add up to the current system state. And so it's just like a different way to define it, a transaction. And I think that that's like what this is that like I can now write UTXOs that like transfer ownership of this. Like I think that's like what it means. I think it's called a covenant. I don't know. There's all this hand wavy vocab that I still don't understand. But all you really need to understand is that you can actually own this namespace, like the .dipcatcher. And if Handshake is just one of the different types of kind of like decentralized internet traffic, like namespace domain issuers that exist. There's a handful of others, but like if this is one that gets like enough traction, or if it proves to be valuable, especially around being able to launch sites that can't be censored. I think that this type of digital real estate could become very valuable. Where like today, like I think I bought, let's see, the Dipcatcher. Let's see how much I paid for .dipcatcher, for instance. So that was probably my bid. I think the price right now is like 20 cents. So I bid about $100, but I actually only had to pay. So my bid was $555. I put a mask on it, and the second bid, it's like you pay the second bid was 11. So I ended up paying just 11 handshakes. So 11 divided by 5, I paid about 25 cents for the .dipcatcher domain. And so every day, like new domain up until I don't know when these auctions end, but every day new domains appear, and they're able to be they go in these auctions, and then whoever wins it gets that domain. And so I think these are a really interesting concept, because you can buy things pretty cheap for now on these handshake ones, where it's just like any other like high risk crypto. Like there could never be a buyer. Like you could like my Dipcatcher one, like who would buy that? Like only I would buy that. And so like I'm not really counting on that one to be a high ROI one, but there are a couple others that I do see monetization potential with. That I to me those are like really what I'm looking for in these handshake domains is either something that you could potentially sell websites under, where people would want your top level domain in their marketing. So like when you go to like Google domains, domains.google, So like, say we're looking for, let's just look up dip catcher, just because there's no one's gonna have anything. So we'll see a lot of different top level domains. Click all endings. So all these top level domains, .app, .io, .com, .mx, .info, .me, .biz, .store, .space, .world, .community, .group, .studio, Dipcatcher Studio, that'd be fucking cool. .care, .website, like all these different ones, like, someone is leasing these, and their offer is $20 a year, $20 a year, whatever that is. Some are more expensive than others, or say, let's just look at like, what do we know is going to be an expensive one? Something with crypto. Yeah, I mean, unavailable, too expensive. I think crypto.com was like $10 million. Literally, like there's not even a single one available. Crypto.science. Okay, yeah, that's expensive. All right, so you can get crypto.science, which would be fucking cool, for 5,000 euros plus $26 a year. That might be. I don't know. I think all the upside, like regular domains, all the upside's already out. Like there's unless you like buy something that's like later becomes a meme. Like I think like most things, like the upside's already out. I don't know. Crypto.boat's only €1,000. Yeah, so like these top level domains, like there is an active market for these, and these right now these are the domains that are like issued through the ICANN namespace. And so what Handshake does, Handshake is an alternative that it still supports all of these, but Handshake is an alternative where like you can have even more, because like right now to like bring one of these into existence, it costs like $400,000, and like they can only do a couple per year. So like there's a lot, over time they've built up, but like these ones don't come online very often, and they're all very expensive. And so Handshake is like an alternative to that. And some of these Handshake names that are available, like, I think if we go to Namebase, we can see what some have been selling for. Domains. Okay, so let's look at these auctions. These auctions are really exciting. 25 Handshake. So right now, Handshake is like 20 cents. So $4 about. Let's see if we can see any big ones. 500 Handshake, so about $100 for Marquise. Shaw for say $50. Majority. Ooh, Gentleman. Universal Studios. Someone owns that one. See, what I like about these compared to like digital collectibles and like digital art is that like you can like instantly look at this and like see if something is valuable, as opposed to like some of the, it's like you have to like know if that artist is gonna like become popular. Like that's a very difficult skill, where like it's literally just guessing. But like with these, like you could kind of picture in your head like yeah, some of these like may become valuable for like some reason that like you can't be aware of right now, but like every so often you see one of these names and you're like, oh wow, that could be like a really popular name. Usually things that are like three letters, single syllable, pronounceable, an English word, has a nice like sound to it. So there's some really cool pieces of digital real estate available on Handshake. And maybe one of these weeks we'll do once I secure, I've actually been, I haven't been as like helpful out in public around helping people with getting in auctions on this. Because this is kind of like a zero sum thing. Like there's only one, like of some of these domains that I've got, there's only one of them. It's that really shows how non-fungible they are. Where like I've made sure to lock them in, and then not whereas like with like things like Bitcoin and Hex, like even though like they're finite or they have limited supply, there's always more, and so those I'm always very open and helping. But with some of these, I've definitely kept it more not doing so much alpha leak, as they say. So maybe one of these weeks I'll do a how-to on how to do these, how to buy these Handshake domains through the auctions. But this is another really exciting area to explore. So handshake.org, great site to check out. And so what was the other category of these? So like let's take a look at some like crypto art. So I think some sites I've seen are called like Super Rare. Authentic digital art marketplace. So these are like pretty interesting. This is pretty much in line with like how people that play video games, like they are like are willing to like buy like skins in a game, or like buying like digital assets or like digital power-ups. I think a lot of these like art markets kind of feed on that same thing, where people have been so immersed in technology their whole lives that like things that are digital like still are real, and people are willing to buy and pay for them. So with some people, like I saw like some people talking on Twitter about like, oh, I'll just screenshot your NFT art and there, haha, I have it. And like, so there's kind of like this disconnect about like what it really means. Like it's not about like you being the only person like look at the digital artwork. It's about like just feeling like you're in possession of it, because you control the private key that controls who can transfer the digital art. And so it's not so much about like this being something that only you can look at. It's more about you being able to like stake claim to something where it's where like the place that you're staking claim to it has some like there's like a social contract of people that rely on that as a source of truth. Like that's really the whole purpose of using a blockchain, is to establish truth. And so what these like digital art non-fungible tokens really represent is that like the thing that you believe you own is owned by you. Like these blockchain networks just like help like validate that. And so when you're thinking about buying some of these assets, you have to consider the like what it means to really own it. And like that's what makes it like with these like trying to buy like some crypto asset on some like new thing, you may like own it and like it's there, but like if a market for it can't like evolve, like yeah, you can own it, but like how much money are you willing to pay to like own something that like you could potentially never sell, or own something on a network that like where it there's no certainty or like sense of truth about like who owns what. And so it like defeats the purpose of actually owning anything rare. So with these, if you're treating it like just like something that you just want to own for like the emotional feeling of owning it, like it doesn't really matter what platform you like do it on. Like if you're not like treating it like an investment, then it doesn't really matter. Find an easy one. But with ones that you're treating like an investment, where like you want to be able to own this like piece of digital art because you think that in the future someone else will be willing to buy it from you at a higher price. You want to be owning assets that trade in markets where there's liquidity. Just like, like how on Uniswap, like that really unlocked a lot of liquidity and like trading because it's like a public, it's like a public service. It's not like an account that you have to like have at an exchange. You just get on and you can trade. That you want to, and that's what enabled things like Hex to like really bootstrap itself is just like these like liquidity markets. That's really what you want to own. If you're going to own NFT assets, you want to own them in ecosystems where there is like liquidity, like where people are actually buying and selling these things. Because like if these things only use case is like being a collectible, and they don't have any other type of like monetary use case or like collateral, they're not like accepted as collateral in any like money markets, then you could be in a scenario where you have something that you thought was going to go up a lot, and you may not even be able to find a buyer at any price, and so these things are definitely like in the category of like high risk, coins, kind of like these random coins that we found like Flow, or maybe they pump in price a lot and maybe they go to zero. These kind of fit into that. So I don't own any like digital art. I haven't I haven't been so like compelled, like just compelled to really go down this area. I've mainly been focusing on like the financial aspects and like the monetary aspects of these, and so the digital art is just isn't quite what I've really explored. Something that I had the things that I've explored more than like monetizing like media through like digital collectibles and art. And like the area that I have explored a lot is the concept of like voting, like voting tokens, for monetizing media by allowing people to like speculate on what will be perceived as like the most valuable or like relevant content. So like I've explored other areas of like blockchain based media, but I'm really glad that Daniel kind of prompted me along kind of down this. I've seen how much it's just like before this call I was doing some research, and just how much it's developed since when I first got involved. There seem to be some pretty active sites like Super Rare. So 2.5 million earned by artists, 785K earned by collectors, almost 10,000 art pieces, and so someone placed a bid for 16.58. I think Stan might actually be on the site somewhere. Let's see if I know he was trying to. Stan on here? Oh yeah. Oh yeah, here we go. Look. Shit, okay, I'm gonna buy this. Oh wow, so no, Stan sold it. Oh yeah, I remember this. This person bought it for 0.01 ETH. That's pretty good. Oh yeah. So Cent is a site that's pretty, has some, people are pretty active in this area. This is cool. We need Stan to be posting more. Oh yeah, that's cool. But yeah, so this is an example of like where you can register as an artist, and then you can even like sell art on here. And so this is a really interesting concept where maybe these are pieces of art that you might buy like while you're on vacation, and you see you go into some gallery, maybe buy some art there. Like, now with these, if there's like, liquid markets for these, it just like increases this, like the scale of who you can reach with your art. And who you can sell your art to. So this is a really interesting area. And the other kind of area in this that, might be worthwhile to look at that I don't know too much about yet, but this is something that I've recently learned about, are these coins that power ecosystems where people issue these tokens. So kind of like with, the HNS coin with Handshake, it's used as part of the issuance of the top level domains. And by like buying a domain, your coins actually get burnt. So these coins can actually go up in price because the supply there's deflationary pressure on the price because coins get burned through the act of issuing these like non-fungible assets. So in Handshake's case, that would be like the domains, like the coins get burnt through the auction process. And with things like this one that I've learned more recently about, Enj, when you mint your asset, you actually burn some coins. And so this is a and here like this Enj coin is used to help back the value of the assets listed in this platform. So I mean, this is even really good information just about NFTs and stuff. So let's just read it. So why is there in this ecosystem? Why is every item backed by Enj Coin? Enj is the gold standard for digital assets. Every item created using our blockchain development platform is backed by ENJ for a few important reasons. Owners can melt their assets back into ENJ, increasing confidence in the assets and faith in the projects that offer them. Asset scarcity. When existing assets are melted, scarcity increases, thereby lowering their supply and increasing their value. Tangibility. Unlike other digital assets, tokens backed by Enj are created with something of value and can be destroyed anytime. Real-world value. The perceived value of digital assets is directly correlated with their ENJ backing, making ENJ an effective gold standard. Certified authenticity. The ENJ stored within assets proves their origin and guarantees their compatibility with the ecosystem. Anti-inflation, because ENJ is a limited resource. Backing assets with it regulates asset creation. Okay, that's interesting. So it looks like in this ecosystem, like you create these by pretty much staking this ENJ coin. So that's actually really interesting because that probably the way this works under the hood is very similar to how the Hex smart contract works. Like in Hex, you stake your coins, and then by staking them, it actually issues you something called Hex shares. Maybe Hex shares are NFTs. Are they? Because you can't transfer them, and you can't like cut them up. I don't know. In some ways, maybe they are, but it's similar fashion where you stake your Hex, get your Hex shares, and that's what earns you interest. In this ecosystem, you stake your ENJ, and you produce your digital asset that you can then like trade. So maybe for the same reasons that we might have to look into this coin, because maybe for the same reasons where the staking in Hex decreases the saleable supply, and that can maybe help the price go up. Maybe the ENJ coin has some of that like same deflationary characteristic that could help support price. So that's interesting. Maybe we'll have to look more into this. What is a non-fungible token? Unique defined asset. It's unique and thus not interchangeable. Suitable for things like identification, certificates, collectibles, gaming characters, any asset that requires its own identity. The ERC 721 token standard used by games like CryptoKitties is the most common example of non-fungible tokens. Yeah, so kind of like like Hex is an ERC 20 token, so it's like a standard way to issue a cryptocurrency. There's ERC 721, which is like a standard way to issue non-fungible tokens. ERC 721. Let's take a look at what that's all about. ERC 721 is a free open standard that describes how to build non-fungible or unique tokens on the Ethereum blockchain. While most tokens are fungible, every token is the same as every other token. ERC 721 tokens are all unique. Think of them like a rare, one-of-a-kind collectible. ERC 20, a class of identical tokens. ERC 721, a class of unique tokens. So it looks like these are a lot of the same like functions that are in normal like ERC 20: transfer, approval, balance, safe transfer, approve. Okay, so it looks like these are a whole all these different ones are ways that you can issue them, or just protocols that like enable this. Let's see anything that we use. No, it's kind of cool. It's interesting. Okay, that's weird. Okay, can't find that. Okay, so I mean, there's a lot in this space, lot to uncover. And this like where I stand on all of these is that like I'm not like too deeply into this because I just think there's more frequent like big opportunities more in like the crypto finance space as opposed to like the crypto art space. If I was an artist and I was like creating these, I would definitely be looking into this. But since I don't have that that type of artistic talent, I haven't really had a reason to like really dive into this. Maybe there's going to be some type of like NFT bull market. Might be related to some of the coins that help back these, or maybe there's going to be some type of where like ERC, like with some of these like digital collectibles, they just represent like membership in a group, and maybe like each new membership just like goes up in price, and so like maybe that type of like non-fungible token might emerge, and you might see like social networks built upon like NFTs that represent like membership in a group. So like I think there's a lot to to left to see here, and what's that saying where like a lot of like revolutionary things start off looking like toys, and so I think that's like really what a lot of this ecosystem looks like early on, because this isn't like a lot of the stuff in like DeFi that we see, that's like serious financial like engineering going on, like those are the things that like make economies operate. And with the kind of like this first wave, like the first use case of these like NFTs, like used just for like like game assets or like art, like a lot of revolutions look like toys early on, and I think that's what we're really seeing here, but at least on like the immediate horizon, just because of like just like the like where the global like monetary and financial situation that just the whole world is in right now. I think that the coin's more related to like financial products or like monetary assets. I still think those are the ones that are like the less risk and probably like compared to the reward. I think significantly less risk. Some of these like NFTs, like there's a lot of risk, but there really is kind of like capped upside, because just because the market for like digital collectibles, that it, while still like a big market, and there still is a lot of money to be made. I think that like the scope of like the financial infrastructure and like the financial products that are built kind of outside of the NFT ecosystem, I think those are going to be the big like winners. But that's not to say that like there's not going to be like major growth, face melting pumps in some of these, but I think that there's just the just the scope of like the financial markets versus the scope of like just like the art markets. Let's take a look. Let's see if So like, let's look up like the Great Credit Contraction Pyramid. Let's take a look and just kind of get a sense of this. So where's that pyramid? Yep. Okay, so like this whole area, like derivatives and like global credit markets, like this is like what the DeFi thing kind of represents. And like the art is, I think, fits into here, like this like miscellaneous assets. So like non-monetary commodities, maybe that's like where like in the real world where like art and collectibles fit in. So this was in 2008. So I would like, maybe like 5x that from there, like all of these numbers. So say this right now is like a $20 trillion market, non-monetary commodities. So I mean, so this also includes like food and stuff probably, but like, just that might be a good estimate. Say like $5 to $10 trillion market there, versus like, this whole the global derivatives market, securitized debt and stocks, like these things, like that's like the big money markets. But that certainly doesn't mean that like there's not going to be a lot of growth in the NFT space. It'll just look different, like in in the like DeFi space. Like there's finite number of people that are like able to make buy low and sell high, but it's not only one. Whereas like the things that are going to go up a lot in value are going to be like the NFTs, where there's only one of them. Someone gets it for when like nobody knows about it, and then something changes, and then everybody wants it, and then that person who maybe bought it for like 0.01 ETH is now getting bids for like 1,000 ETH, like for that one asset. So there are going to be things like that, and if luck is on your side, and just like you just conjure that reality into being, like by all means, like definitely explore some of these. Buy ones that you're just proud to own. Like even if you can't get an ROI, because these things could be hit or miss. Like how do you know that like someone's gonna buy this like GIF off of you in the future? Like you never know. So own things that like you want to support the artist, or you want to like you feel really cool about owning it. But as far as like investments, probably the financial products are going to be like unless you like have like really keen insight into some of these things. There's probably more frequent opportunities open to more people, more in like the financial space of crypto as opposed to this space. But there's I think a lot of fun and a lot of like really interesting culture, and like really interesting markets that are going to emerge in this space, and all the development in like the financial ecosystem that's going on like in the DeFi space. Those things can start trickling out into the NFT space, where like there's a concept of like fractional ownership, where maybe there's like something that maybe rather than having like one NFT to represent like a digital collectible art, you can like own fractional shares of it, and maybe those fractional shares of those are traded in a Uniswap liquidity pool. So a lot of the innovation that goes on in the like financial ecosystem of crypto can provide benefits inside the like digital collectibles space, by having ways for there to be like liquidity, maybe ways for you to like stake your art as collateral, all types of things. So and even even outside of like the NFTs, like kind of like defined by this ERC 721 standard. Another one that was really an awesome one for us was socks. So let's take a look at what socks is at right now. Um, Hey, there we go, Hex. All right, so socks. So socks is a we've talked about this before. It was like the first use case of Uniswap. It was like a demo use case where Unisocks. Let's see if we can find more about it. So Unisocks, it was a demonstration of a way to issue rare merchandise, where 500 pairs of these socks were ever made, and they were put up for sale through a Uniswap liquidity pool, where they put up however many socks for sale, the coin there were 500, and then some amount of ETH, and then you could then swap ETH for socks, and then that's like where the market was. And so when it launched, the starting price was around like $35. It got as high as like $100, back down to about $30, $100, down to like $40. And throughout this time, people are able to redeem the socks. So 182 socks have been redeemed, and there's 318 available. And so of these, or 318 left, and then 27 are actually for sale, or 28 right here. So this is like the number of socks that are in the liquidity pool. And so socks is I think socks is an ERC20 token. So it's not like a traditional like ERC 721 digital collectible, but this is just like another example of like a way to issue a something rare where it represents something in the real world. Like you can redeem these and get these socks mailed to you. And when it's something like socks, that's always like where crypto kind of falls short, is that it can't really audit something in the real world. Like they could make more than 500 of these, and like you would have no idea. And so like for things that's like low consequence, having like a non-fungible token that like represents ownership or like redeemability of something in the real world, that can totally work for things, trading cards, where you want it to be pretty close to accurate and like auditable supply, but if not, like it's okay because it's just like trading cards. It's not like global reserve money or like some major financial asset that like really supply auditability is really important. And so like bridging to the real world with things like this is like, it's a good like happy medium where like, this totally works for this use case. And it's really interesting to compare to like how people buy like other types of like rare apparel. Like anytime there's like a Supreme drop or like Jordans, people line up and they're buying it, and then they get listed online for big markups, and there's a whole market for that. Rather than like waiting in line to go out and like get the first drop, brands could launch apparel through this, where they like put up a set number that they're going to make, and then sell the coin as almost like a gift card to redeem it. And if you post it through a Uniswap liquidity pool, people can buy and sell, and the price can just be set by the market. And so that's why you see like these socks, they've gone from being $40 to $4,000, and purely because there's only 28 for sale. There's 300. There's what did it say? 318 available, but only 27 are for sale. And this had a big pump because of its association with the Uni airdrop. But this is like a very rare coin. Like, there's only 300 of them. There's 21 million Bitcoin, a couple billion hex. There's 318 socks. And so some of these like micro supply ERC20 tokens that we've been talking about, in a way, they kind of act like a non-fungible token. Like I think that I may be wrong. I don't even know if you can buy a fraction of a sock. I think it might be total increments only. yeah, I mean, as far as where I bought it from, you have to um, you have to do it through here. So yeah, I don't even think you can buy a fraction of one. Maybe directly on Uniswap. But yeah, so that's like, even things that aren't like traditional ERC 721s, they can still act like, these digital collectibles, and that's what this is. And maybe this is something that we should really look into doing. We're, like we have like some of our friends who are entrepreneurs, like, maybe they could like sell their products through this. Like maybe for, so like last week I went uh, on a on a trip to Tahoe, in my friend who helps usually produce these calls in our live stream. Oh, there he already put the picture up. So I took this out for a spin. So this is this really awesome like camper van rental platform, where they have a couple vans out of Northern California in the Bay Area, and I think some out of Colorado. And maybe like places that have these things that like you can book out a certain number of weekends per year, maybe they might issue them through this type of token where like you can buy and sell the right to a weekend in the van, and maybe like you could have an opportunity to buy low and then sell high, and then, or maybe you can buy low and take it whenever you want. And so maybe like for other things where there's like a finite amount of a product that can be made. So in this case, like there's a finite amount of nights that someone could rent this. Maybe something like that could be wrapped up in an NFT. Or another example. So one of my friends, he's an artist. Let's see if it's willbeger.com. See if this is his. Yep. So this is one of my friends that I went to school with in Arizona. He's a really talented artist, and sometimes he gets commissioned work, and he sells these paintings, one of which I purchased, and maybe with these, like these can be sold through this type of launch where like there's some number of tokens put up for sale, and then they like represent like future works or something, and that's like where the price might be set. So I think there's like a lot of overlap between these, like the Uniswap protocol, which is like the liquidity market, and then some of these like digital collectibles that can be like sold in a really liquid fashion. So I think that's a really exciting development. Are these things where it's like a real world asset that's represented and like sold through a blockchain that you can then take like physical delivery of, like you can with these stocks. So there is a lot of exciting development in this area, and and I'm we'll have to get Stan to be producing more of these. Stan's made some really awesome. If we go to goldkey.anvil.app, Stan has made some really awesome like collage art that we just have for sale on this site where you can just order prints. Maybe we should start selling these through as like non-fungible tokens. That's there is a lot of opportunity here that maybe this is the area that I'll explore next. I feel like we've gone really we've had a lot of real awesome success with the monetary cryptos. You've had some awesome success in the DeFi space. Maybe this is the next area that we need to explore over here. I'm glad Daniel really kind of brought this to my attention, because this is an area that like the NFT space. It's just an area that like I feel like I just never really fully dove into it yet, just purely because you have to choose what you're going to really focus on. But it's really exciting, and it's really exciting to see how much it's evolved over the last couple of years. So maybe that's what Stan and I can do with this site, is maybe we'll figure out a way how to like issue some type of non-fungible representation of these pieces of art, and maybe it's like metal prints and stuff. But yeah, it's a really exciting space, and so probably the best place to be learning about stuff is just like just read conversation on Twitter, see what people are talking about, see what people are promoting, and then just kind of sort through there. And then a lot of these things, like a lot of this stuff, really just happens on the Ethereum ecosystem. So if you want to start exploring some of these platforms, just get set up on MetaMask. So go to the Dipcatcher YouTube channel, and just look at some of the instructionals that Colleen has made for the MetaMask, getting your MetaMask set up. Some great information there. Like all that is still relevant. Like the same way that you interact with a Hex stake is going to be the same way that you interact with some type of like non-fungible token, minting or whatever. So, just getting some of those basics down, like getting your MetaMask wallet set up, getting the Ethereum, knowing how to interact with a smart contract. Just those are valuable tools to have in your toolkit, because then you can start exploring some of these more emerging areas of the crypto space. So yeah, this is a lot of fun, really diving into this stuff. I think we're going to go ahead and just wrap it up here. Maybe the next couple of weeks we'll do another one of these. Maybe we get online and in real time, maybe we'll issue our own non-fungible token. So I'll do some homework and figure out some exciting we can do on live with this. But thank you, Daniel, for the awesome prompt for to look into some of this stuff and talk about it. And so until next time, we'll be back next week. Check out dipcatcher.com for sign up here if you want to get buy Bitcoin email alerts. The email alert was frying all week last week when the price was down here. So if you got these email alerts, let's see what you'd be up. Last week on the call we built this. Let's refresh the page. Last week when we on our stream we did. We made a tool to measure the performance of the email alerts. What's going on here? Did I break my site? Wow, I might have just broken my own site. All right, this isn't load, whatever. Okay, so that's not going to work. Something's wrong. We're having some difficulty here, but sign up on dipcatcher.com. We'll get that site stood back up. Check it out. We're going to be, keep building on that site. Stay tuned for the next streams. And then if you want to join the Telegram chat, just comment on here and we'll get you an invite. So thanks for joining us. We'll be back next week. Have fun. Have a good weekend. Stay safe. Stay healthy. And catch dips. We'll see you all later.